I would give a perspective after watching the video where Angel talks about the Great Pyramid of Giza and the functionality of it just by observing what nature does. I've asserted that the Great Pyramid of Giza is an architectural representation of human physiology. So if we look at the Great Pyramid, it has a pressure, it has a flow of water, a stream, not a sudden rush, but a constant flow. It's got various passageways and chambers. There's a combustion that goes on, so there's a fire, which is the stone, which you could liken to the skeleton. You've got the water, which could represent all our fluid systems in the body. The casing blocks would be the equivalent of the skin. What have I missed here? We've got the water. The air element, well, you've got the intake of air and ventilation and things. That wouldn't include the star shafts, according to what was said that they've been subsequently opened. They weren't at one time, but I can't remember how it was said that they were discovered, but if there's nothing visible on the outside and nothing visible on the inside, how would you even know those ventilation shafts, as they're now called, are actually there? So you've got the elements of air, so you've got the same things going on in the human body. You've got pressure, you've got a sort of regulator, it's not a pump, called the heart. So using natural forces, so the heart would be effectively the earth, which is the natural phenomenon, is being used pretty much in the same way as inside the human body. So really the Great Pyramid of Giza, what could be taken about the fascination about it is not the internal chambers and the structure and the passageways in the pyramid itself, but when you reflect it internally inside yourself, the meaning of the word pyramid becomes very clear, because you've got pyre, which is fire, and it's in the middle. So where would that be within human physiology? You only have to think about sayings like get to the heart of the matter, put heart and soul into whatever you do. The passion, the fire, therefore must come from the centre of the heart, which there is a pinhole-sized star that goes off the scales in temperature. It's so minute, and yet that is the spark of life. It's like a fire needs a spark, a flash of inspiration, you could say, in the mind, an aha moment. So, I mean, if you go with what is coming out, who actually was the architect of this Great Pyramid is also said to be the architect of humanity. Therefore, it would therefore show there's a blueprint, which I feel I have just given you an example of. You could also see the internal structure of the pyramid has chambers. Well, does not the heart have chambers in it? You've also got the chakra system expressed on the internal chambers that are known about. I suspect there are more. It was for a long time not known that there was anything apart from that subterranean level, which could represent the solar plexus, the place of the sun, or maybe even the root chakra. Then you've got the Queen's Chamber and the King's Chamber. I mean, does the Queen's Chamber represent the heart and the King's Chamber represent, I don't know, the mind's eye or the throat chakra? You've got the whole reference of the capstone, and on the back of the US dollar bill, the eye on that capstone, it would be where the mind's eye would be. It's not at the very top, but that's where you see which references the mind's eye. And then the capstone, you could say, is representing the crown chakra, because it's said to or prophesied to descend. It's also the cornerstone that builders is the cornerstone that the builders rejected, but it would seem rather strange to not start with the cornerstone. So also consider we're in a realm of duality where most people have the idea or hold the belief that things are done to you. But life is a reflection, so consider also, just like the reflection, you've now doubled from 1 to 2 in a visual sense with a reflection in a mirror. So it's not that things are being done to you, it is things are being done for you. Excuse me. So effectively you have 4 sides to the pyramid. The base is made up of 4, so you've also got a 44 reference there. The center point is where what would be the top of the capstone, or the whole point of everything, if you were to invert the pyramid, would be going to the deepest, darkest depths, the abyss of yourself. When we turn this into considering it as the internal pyramid. If you think about it as well, the tree of life is often the way that is used to describe the arteries, the veins, the nervous system. So it represents the branches and the roots, and of course they're all going the same direction inside of us, as it were. They're going more downwards than upwards. Although from the heart, then obviously they're in balance. Notice also the center of the physical body would be the solar plexus, but the center of the chakra system, on the 7 chakra system, is the heart. So that is also implied that there is a fall, but then there's a magnetism that is drawing up, and clearly what Angel shows with the Great Pyramid, there is a drawing up and a process for extracting something, like he says. It was the construction of the Great Pyramid. It was over 90 years, or 1,080 months. The 108 is hugely significant on the internal measurements and angles and things. 108 is also the degrees of the points of a pentagram, which is what a pyramid is in a 2-dimensional representation, whereas a pyramid is obviously a 3-dimensional representation. But that number's one of the numbers that is encoded in those internal measurements, and it also, what you can take from this whole thing, this whole phenomenon around the Great Pyramid, it's considered considering the internals of that structure in the same way that we need to consider our internals. Not just the physical organs, but at the spiritual level. The penetration that someone like Rudolf Steiner would talk about. The whole idea of know thyself. That internal exploration. Finding your king's chamber, your queen's chamber, and the lower chamber, and I suspect there are more. Whether that is ever made public, I've no idea. But I feel it's an interesting comparison, and I feel architect is an expression of human physiology. If you take cathedrals as well, that is another variation on that same theme. I won't go into that now because it will make this too long. It's something I have covered on video about church machines, and just to give you one example of that, if you think about in a cathedral or a church, you have an organ, a musical instrument that is one organ with many windpipes. It's the reverse of us. We have many organs and one windpipe. So it's like a mirrored reflection in this material world, but sort of human physiology, but expressed as architecture. That, I feel, is another aspect, particularly with the Great Pyramid of Giza. And if you think about the word Giza, in English it's a slang term for a man, and man in this context is man or woman. Mankind, you could say. So is that just coincidence that it's the Great Pyramid of Giza? Or does that add a whole new meaning to it? Could it really be the Great Pyramid of human physiology? And I feel that an understanding of that, the workings, the functionality of the pyramid, also will reveal a lot about the esoteric function that the physical body plays while we are going through the experience from between birth and death. So I think that sort of covers the, shall we say, 5 points as we're talking about the pyramid that I wanted to bring up there. So I hope that has given you a different perspective, and to use this perception of duality and this reality, how you can cross-compare things and weigh up between two different things. So the Great Pyramid is a perfect reflection, if you can see it in that way. And I feel there's an awful lot more to be gained out of all of this, that we're still really only scratching the surface on, but certainly it's, I'm trying to think of the word, it has multiple aspects to this structure. That is a calendrical system. It shows time running forward, it shows time running backwards. It has a functionality, and it seems to be a reflection of human physiology all in one. You can see why it's one of the 7 great wonders. So that, as I've said that, it's like I'm thinking 7 chakras. So who can come up with the other 6 wonders? Are they to be found as architecture anywhere in the world, that we could gain more understanding about what exactly we are? Thank you very much.